Today, President Donald Trump says not only is his administration ready to help the environment, but it already has. Now, Trump points to the Save Our Seas Act, which aims to reduce garbage in the ocean, and environmental projects to help the Florida Everglades and the Great Lakes. But the president's opponents say he pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord and has not done enough to acknowledge and address climate change. So I have to bring in our 360 view. We turn to our political panel, former Florida Democratic Party Chair Mitch Ceasar and Ned Ryun, CEO of American Majority. Thanks for joining me, gentlemen. We're talking the environment. Thank you, President Trump. And, you know, I got to start with you, Mitch, on this. President Trump is touting his environmental record today. Is this an area President Trump should stay far away from?
I really think so. I know he tries to tell tales out of school on literally everything. What's interesting is a poll just came out, I think, in the last day or two, which he was pretty happy about his job rating. But the three issues people care the most about in America, regardless of party, is the economy, the environment, and health care. He got his lowest marks on the environment. 29% of Americans believe he's doing a good job, and that's because he really isn't. He has rolled back all the guardrails, shall we say, as it relates to coal, which he's talked about, as it relates to cars and car emission, as it relates to water, as it relates to emissions from power plants even. He's rolled these all back. He's not holding steady. He's going the wrong way. And many scientists will agree that he's not helped, he's hurt. Specifically, probably his biggest problem is that not only about pulling out the climate accords of Paris, but specifically being a climate denier. Has anybody paid attention last week to the temperatures in Alaska, which broke all records, and the meltdowns by the caps and the rising oceans? This isn't cyclical, and most people who are qualified scientists, not conspiracy people, all agree we're undergoing a climate change phenomena that needs to be dealt with, which he's going in reverse. Well,
and that's the thing, Ned, to Mitch's all of his points he's just made. The president has already completely rolled back, or in the process of rolling back, 83 environmental regulations. So how can you say he's showing leadership when he is rolling back some of the protective legislation? And to his point, is Trump a climate change denier, or is it just simply man-made climate change is what he's fighting?
Well, Scotty, I think you make a very good point there. There's a massive difference between man-made global warming theories and climate change, and I would think most of us agree that there is climate change. The question is, what role do we play as human beings in affecting that climate change? I have to tell you, I mean, the fact of the matter is we pulled out of the Paris Accord because Europe and the rest of the world wanted to hamstring America without actually requiring some accountability from China and India, which are some of the worst polluters. So, of course, we're not going to go against our best interests when we don't think that it's actually a fair playing field. And by the way, even if everybody were to have been a part of the Paris Accord, it would have reduced global temperatures by about 0.2 of a degree over the next 100 years. And that's according to the UN's panel on that, on climate change. The fact of the matter is, listen, I think that America is one of the best countries when it comes to balancing the ideas of clean water and clean air and the fact that we do have business needs and needs of our private citizens. And if you want to talk about people that have fully committed to this idea of man-made global warming and climate change, and it's been an utter disaster, look at Germany. Their entire agenda on green agenda has been an absolute and complete failure. They have bankrupted government agencies and have basically brought about zero difference in anything regarding the climate or temperatures.
Well, and one thing also that Mitch brought up, Ned, I have to ask you, is this not a bigger problem, though, that the GOP does have with narrative? Now, even I will say I'm surprised that how much the environment going into 2020 is going to be different from 2016. It is a major issue. Some might say immigration might be where it goes back and forth, but this is an issue right now that Americans are looking at. Does the GOP have a problem with this, with saying that they're actually fighting for our environment?
Well, I think you make a good point, Scotty. First of all, when you look at what the left is proposing with the Green New Deal, it's an absolute non-starter. It would absolutely crush our economy. At the same time, I do think you make a good point. There are things that we have to start talking about as Republicans and as conservatives. Listen, we're called to be good stewards of this, not only this country, but this world, this globe as well. How can we be good stewards of what we've been given? What is the right approach to understanding? We have to be those good stewards at the same time balancing the fact that we have people, we have businesses, everybody has certain requirements. Where do you strike the balance? And I think the thing that's been troubling to many of us on the right is we feel that there's been this headlong pursuit that has become too drastic. How can we have a more measured approach in being good stewards? That's a good conversation to have, and I think a lot of Republicans should start having that conversation.
Well, that's the thing. And Mitch, you brought it up that the #1 issue is the economy. It's still the economy on this. This is an issue that the Democrats have already run across. When you talk about coal, that's West Virginia, that's Michigan. We're talking about a lot of these areas that are very Rust Belt. So what is more important to Democrats right now going forward, do you think? And how do you have a narrative? What's the economy or the environment? How do they have that balancing act as Democrats?
Well, I think you can have that balance. I don't think there's any question. He talked about bringing coal back. I think coal may be in a time warp because it sure hasn't come back clean or otherwise. That's a promise he made specifically to West Virginia. Promises made, promises not kept. And you want to have a specific type of coal. Yes, there has to be a balancing of interests. But when he gets off on these far right kind of tangents saying, I don't believe in science, remember, science is not alternate facts. And specifically one time he blamed all the problems of climate change on China. So we're not moving the dialogue along. We're going in reverse. There is an important feeling among many people. Florida's the biggest swing state. And I can tell you that Floridians consistently have voted for candidates who want to protect the environment and really have not bought into some of the far-right nonsense. Remember, Florida and South Florida is a peninsula surrounded on 3 sides by water and feels very affected, especially where we're sitting right now near Miami Beach. They get flooding on dry days. So I think the president has to try to set the standard, but just to go through his usual nonsense of saying, I'm the environmental president, that's not solving the problem.
Real quick, because I got to run, Ned, real response to that?
Really quick. I mean, people have to know between 1970 and 2018, there was a 74% reduction in the most common air pollutants as we saw economy grow 275%. The fact of the matter is we know that emissions went up a little bit this year, but they're projected to actually drop in 2019 and 2020. And the most important thing is to incentivize businesses to be better corporate neighbors to the people and to this country, and I think Trump's doing that.
And who would have thought that you two would actually, I always get you on the economy and political issues, and you're also environmentalist. I love it. I'll have you guys back on as this is a good conversation. We will continue.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.